All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, depending on what part of the world that you grew up in, if you grew up playing outdoor hockey on the ice, and as hockey is a kid's game at heart, we've seen the National Hockey League bring that aspect to their game each January and February. Now, occasionally, the NHL would have an outdoor exhibition game over the years, but it showed that it was here to stay in 2008 with the first edition of the Winter Classic. And on that New Year's Day afternoon in Western New York, the Pittsburgh Penguins got the best of the Buffalo Sabres with snow falling at times at Ralph Wilson Stadium. Now, since then, the NHL has had the Winter Classic almost each year, with the exception of the lockouts and the COVID year. And when they've had it, the contest has been held either at a baseball stadium or a football venue. And the success of the Winter Classic has resulted in the Stadium Series now with several outdoor games around the league each February and even in early March. Now, this past weekend at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, the home of the New York Jets and New York Giants, saw a doubleheader, if you will, one Saturday night and one Sunday afternoon. The Saturday night contest featured the hometown, if you want to call it that, and they really are because they used to play right across the parking lot. The New Jersey Devils hosted the Philadelphia Flyers on Saturday night, while on Sunday afternoon, it was the bitter rivals in the New York Rangers and New York Islanders getting it on. Now, both games saw more than 70,000 people in attendance, and it was about roughly 150,000 people in all for both of the contests over the weekend. And if you're the National Hockey League, this is what it's all about because you simply want to go out there and put meat in the seats. Now, credit to the National Hockey League. They've been very smart about this as they've made it their business to have rivals face off in these games. And because it's one of those where when you have the rivals clash in that region, for the most part, you're going to bring in fans from both teams. And I think back to about a decade ago when the Winter Classic was held at Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor. What do? You bring in both the Detroit Red Wings and the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that was a darn good game that afternoon. Now, with the Stadium Series back in 2012, we saw the Rangers host both the Devils and Islanders at Yankee Stadium. You think about next year's New Year's Day Winter Classic contest. It's going to be the Chicago Blackhawks and the St. Louis Blues at Wrigley Field in Chicago. When you think about Wrigley Field and you think about Chicago and St. Louis, of course, you naturally think about the Cubs and the Cardinals, and there's always a rivalry in the Midwest between those two cities. And then next year's Stadium Series. How about this? At the Horseshoe in Columbus, home of the Ohio State University, you're going to have the Detroit Red Wings taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. And of course, there's a long-standing rivalry between Ohio and Michigan, most notably at that stadium, Ohio State and Michigan State. So, we've seen the impact of this Winter Classic and the Stadium Series, respectively. I mean, the energy, the intensity, that we saw at MetLife Stadium over the weekend, and not just at MetLife, through stadiums and venues, that have hosted these events. You get a playoff like atmosphere, not just from the players, but from the fans as well. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. There was a lot of intensity on Saturday night for the Devils and Flyers. And then, you just look back to yesterday, the Rangers, with that comeback, and it was a thriller. That game had the folks at MetLife out of their seats for the most part of the contest. Very competitive game. Rangers scored early. The Islanders went off to reel off four consecutive goals. The Rangers came back. They looked like they were dead. We saw them go empty net late, scoring a pair of goals to tie it, and of course, winning it in overtime. But nonetheless, that's what it's all about. And we've seen Rangers Islanders a couple of times in this series. But me personally, I would like to see them get it on once at a City Field in Queens. Of course, the proximity being closer to the Islanders fan base, and honestly, Rangers fans are going to travel wherever. I think back to the days when the Carolina Hurricanes used to be the Hartford Whalers. You had plenty of Ranger fans going up to Connecticut to watch those contests. When the Islanders played at the Barclays Center for those several years, it was mainly Rangers fans in attendance. And I'm just thinking about it, having Rangers Islanders at City Field, on New Year's Day or in the Stadium Series, I think would be good. Rangers Bruins at Yankee Stadium, I think that definitely works. Flyers Rangers at a Yankee Stadium. We saw the Rangers and Flyers, meet at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia several years ago during the Winter Classic. How about returning the favor? Red Wings, Blackhawks. We've seen them meet in the Winter Classic already, but how about at Comerica in Detroit or even Soldier Field in Chicago? Now, I know that these are just some, and credit to the National Hockey League. They spread the love all around because we've even seen warm weather teams like the Los Angeles Kings take part in this contest. And this is what it's all about because it's marketing your product and it's marketing your brand. And I know that, Gary Bettman, the NHL commissioner, has not always been the most popular guy in the room, but he has gotten this one right. And I think the NHL recognizes that. They realize that they have something good. And at the end of the day, you want to continue to fleece the golden goose as long as you can. And I think this is something that is going to be around for a very long time. Like I said, we had two tremendous games over the weekend at MetLife, and I think we're going to get more next year in next year's Winter Classic as well as next year's Stadium Series. And if you're the NHL, it's all about marketing your stars. You just had a good All Star weekend in Toronto. This right here, in my opinion, is the cherry on the top. You had yourselves a thriller yesterday at MetLife between the Rangers and Islanders. And at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. It's a kid's game, yes, but you got grown guys out there having fun on the ice, plenty of folks in the stands, and it's just helping the National Hockey League's popularity, in my opinion. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.